The cold steel blade slowly glides over the silk of her robe, barely grazing her naked skin. He presses her against the wall so tightly she can feel every movement of his body, her hips pinned against the cold marble. Another second, and the line between ecstasy and pure terror will be completely erased. No, this isn't the opening of a prohibited adult film. This is a scene from a cult movie that made all of Europe hold its breath back in 1972. Welcome to the world of Giallo, to an era when Italian directors knew no such word as censorship and turned every murder into a transcendent, erotic act. Today, I'm not just showing you a list of rare cinema. We are cracking open the archives that are currently lying in free access on streaming platforms, but that the algorithms are too afraid to show you. 10 masterpieces where the beauty of the actresses contests with the brutality of the plot. Are you ready for the most stylish nightmare of your life? Then let's not waste time. We are beginning. Number 10. The Strange Vice of Mrs. Wardh, 1971. If we want to find the exact point where obsession, high fashion, and brutal voyeurism meet, we must look at Sergio Martino. He didn't just film a thriller, he created a visual fever dream centered around the undisputed queen of Giallo, Edwidge Fenech. In this film, Edwidge plays Julie Wardh, a woman living a polished, enviable life in Vienna. But her perfect facade is rotting. Julie is defined by her hidden desires, and her strange vice is a dangerous pull towards sadomasochistic power dynamics. Martino creates an intoxicating world where the camera lingers on every texture, the silk of Julie's dresses, the cold rain-slicked pavement, and the curves of her body. But there's a catch. You aren't just watching Julie, you are watching her being watched. A mysterious killer in black leather gloves is stalking her every move. One of the most provocative scenes takes place in a shower, not a typical horror trope, but a masterclass in clinical vulnerability. The steam, the sound of the water, and the extreme close-ups create a claustrophobia that is almost sexual. The killer isn't even in the room yet, but the feeling of being violated by his gaze is overwhelming. Julie is trapped in a deadly triangle, a cold husband, a sadistic former lover who still haunts her dreams, and a razor-wielding madman. Martino uses harsh theatrical lighting, blood red and steel blue, to signal that in this world, beauty is just a prelude to mutilation. The film is a shocking exploration of identity and control, ending with a twist that proves even a happy ending can be its own kind of cage. It's elegant, it's raw, and it's the ultimate entry point into the genre. Number 9. Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key, 1972. If the previous entry was a clinical autopsy, this is a decadent, gothic nightmare. Again directed by Sergio Martino, this film is a loose, twisted adaptation of Poe's The Black Cat, set in a crumbling Italian villa that feels like it's breathing. We follow Oliviero, a failed alcoholic writer, and his tormented wife, Irina. They live in a massive tomb of a house, where Oliviero takes out his frustrations through escalating psychological games. The atmosphere is thick with the scent of old wine, expensive perfume, and decay. The bait here is the forbidden nature of their relationship. The violence isn't just physical, it's a language of humiliation and control. Everything changes when Oliviero's niece, Floriana, arrives, played by the magnetic Edwidge Fenech. She is the opposite of the victimized wife. She is predatory, confident, and dangerously beautiful. Her presence turns the villa into a sexual battlefield. The camera voyeuristically captures the shifting power dynamics as Floriana manipulates both husband and wife, leading them deeper into a web of betrayal. But there's a silent observer, a black cat that seems to judge the rot within the walls. When a series of brutal murders begins in the local town, targeting Oliviero's former mistresses, the paranoia inside the house explodes. Martino uses dizzying camera work and extreme close-ups of eyes and mouths to mirror the character's mental collapse. Is the danger outside, or is it in the bed next to you? This is a film about the monstrosity of the soul, hidden behind silk robes and beautiful faces. It's a dark, seductive experience that shows Giallo at its most gothic and depraved. Number 8. Don't Torture a Duckling, 1972. If the previous films were polished, high-fashion urban nightmares, Lucio Fulci's Don't Torture a Duckling is a grit and dirt masterpiece. This is Giallo stripped of its sleek surfaces and thrown into the superstition-soaked rural south of Italy. Fulci didn't just film a mystery, he documented the collision of ancient, oppressive religious traditions with modern media. The visual bait here is raw, intense vulnerability, and the legendary Barbara Beauchet is the perfect icon for it. She plays Patricia, a wealthy, glamorous woman from the city who is staying in a remote village, and she becomes the focus of the community's lust and suspicion. In one of the most provocative and disturbing scenes in Giallo history, Fulci uses a simple bathtub to create absolute terror. It's not a moment of clinical surveillance, it's a moment of absolute exposure. The camera voyeuristically captures her bathing, making her a target for a whole town. The scene is heavy with sexual tension, but it's a predatory, dangerous tension. Fulci frames her beauty against a sterile, cold bathroom, and when the attack finally comes, it is shocking because the violation feels so intimate. This scene is the ultimate trigger for the town's collective psychosis. The plot follows a journalist from the city who arrives in the village to investigate a series of brutal murders targeting young boys. Fulci contrasts the rational, cynical modernity of the reporter with the claustrophobic, irrational fear of the townspeople. They are convinced the killer is a local witch or a demon, but the real monstrosity is far more human. Fulci uses extreme, unflinching close-ups, not of faces but of eyes and hands, to create a fragmented, paranoid reality. The visual style is sweaty, dusty, and uncomfortable. The true horror isn't the blood, it's the realization that a whole community can be warped by a corrupt, systemic ideology. Fulci's lens is critical, and the final reveal exposes a level of spiritual rot that is more disturbing than any slasher villain. Don't Torture a Duckling is a dark, raw masterpiece that proves Giallo can be more than just a stylish game. Number 7. Torso, 1973. We return to the urban nightmare, but Sergio Martino's Torso is a different beast entirely. It is a proto-slasher that set the entire dynamic for the genre for the next decade. If you love modern slasher movies, this is the blueprint. This is a film that weaponized the voyeuristic gaze, turning it into a tool of absolute dread. The film follows a group of beautiful art history students at a university in Italy who are being stalked by a brutal serial killer. After several of their friends are mutilated, the main character, Jane, and her classmates decide to escape the city and retreat to a secluded villa in the mountains. This is the classic final girl setup, but Martino executes it with a technical, clinical precision. Martino uses the bait here as a system of anticipation. He establishes his characters as beautiful objects for the camera, lingering on their relationships and their bodies in a way that creates a constant low-level tension. He wants the audience to connect with their beauty, only to brutally remind them of their mortality. But the true genius of Torso is its second act. The killer, clad in the archetypal black leather mask and trench coat, follows them to the villa. Jane, injured and separated from her friends, wakes up and realizes she's alone. But she isn't. The final hour of the film is a masterclass in silent suspense. Martino uses no music, no screaming. The only sound is Jane's breathing and the soft, methodical sounds of the killer going room to room. Martino uses a split-screen effect during the final chase that is simultaneously innovative and deeply disturbing. It puts the audience inside the killer's mind and Jane's reality at the same time. The visual of the killer's hand moving toward a door handle while you see Jane hiding in the next room creates a heart-stopping, agonizing suspense. Torso isn't about deep psychological meaning, it's about the pure, technical power of the voyeuristic camera to trap you in a cage with a monster. It is a ruthless, stylish, and incredibly effective blueprint for the entire genre. Number 6. All the Colors of the Dark, 1972. If the previous films were grounded in reality, Sergio Martino's All the Colors of the Dark is a full-throttle descent into a psychedelic nightmare. This is Giallo at its most hallucinogenic, blending the classic murder mystery with the paranoia of occult conspiracies. The visual bait here is a masterclass in surreal eroticism. Edwidge Fenech returns, playing Jane, a woman plagued by terrifying recurring dreams of a blue-eyed man who tries to kill her during a ritualistic ceremony. Martino uses her vulnerability to pull the audience into a state of sensory overload. The camera doesn't just watch Jane, it dissolves into her perspective, using distorted lenses and rapid, frantic editing that makes every frame feel like a scream. The provocative core of the film lies in the satanic imagery. Martino stages secret cult gatherings that are a mix of fashion shows and dark rituals. The camera lingers on the contrast between the pale skin of the participants and the deep ritualistic blacks and reds of the setting. It creates a forbidden atmosphere that feels like you're peeking through a keyhole into a world you weren't meant to see. As Jane seeks help to escape her visions, she is led deeper into a web where everyone, her husband, her neighbors, her doctors, seems to be a part of the conspiracy. The terror isn't just about a physical blade, it's about the loss of reality. The sound design is a haunting choral score that heightens the feeling of spiritual violation. All the Colors of the Dark is a beautiful, terrifying trip that proves the most dangerous locked room is the human mind itself. Number 5. Deep Red, 1975. This is it, the absolute peak of the genre. If you only watch one Giallo in your life, it has to be Dario Argento's Deep Red. This isn't just a movie, it's a technical assault on the senses. Argento takes the voyeuristic gaze and turns it into a high art obsession, where every frame is composed like a Renaissance painting. The film follows Marcus, a jazz pianist played by David Hemmings, who witnesses the brutal murder of a psychic through a window. He knows he saw something crucial in the hallway, but he can't remember what. This missing memory becomes the ultimate psychological bait for the audience. We are forced to look at every detail, every shadow, and every background object with Marcus, trying to find the clue that will save his life. Argento's visual style here is unparalleled. He uses extreme close-ups of inanimate objects, a child's doll, a marble, a glass of water, giving them a menacing, predatory life of their own. The colors are aggressive, with deep, vibrating reds that seem to bleed off the screen. The legendary score by the band Goblin adds a layer of driving, mechanical anxiety that makes the suspense almost unbearable. The violence in Deep Red is famously elaborate and theatrical. Argento treats a kill like a grand opera performance. It's clinical, it's cold, but it's so visually stunning that you can't look away. He plays with the audience's expectations, using mirror tricks and architectural geometry to hide the killer in plain sight. Deep Red is the definitive proof that Giallo is the most sophisticated form of thriller ever created, a film where the mystery is a puzzle and the camera is the hand that slowly, agonizingly puts the pieces together. Number 4. The Case of the Scorpion's Tail, 1971. Sergio Martino strikes again, proving he is the undisputed master of the high-stakes, jet-set giallo. If you want a film that feels like a dark, twisted version of a 007 movie, this is it. The story follows a woman who inherits a massive fortune after her husband dies in a mysterious plane crash, only to find herself hunted by a faceless killer through the sun-drenched landscapes of London and Athens. The visual bait here is pure high society elegance. Martino uses the stunning Anita Strindberg to anchor a world of private jets, luxury hotels, and expensive champagne. But beneath the golden Mediterranean sun, the camera maintains a cold, predatory distance. Martino turns the Greek islands into a beautiful trap. The contrast is the key. The brighter the sun, the darker the shadow of the killer. One of the most provocative sequences occurs in a coastal villa. Martino uses the architecture, wide glass windows and open spaces, to strip away any sense of security. The camera voyeuristically follows every movement of the potential victims, creating a feeling that they are living in a goldfish bowl. When the killer finally strikes with a razor, the violence is sudden and clinical, slicing through the silk and the tan skin with terrifying efficiency. The sound of the wind and the crashing waves against the silence of the villa creates an agonizing tension. It's a film about greed and the absolute vulnerability of beauty when it's cornered by a predator. Number 3. The Forbidden Photos of a Lady Above Suspicion, 1970. This film is the definition of style over substance, but in Giallo, style is the substance. Luciano Ercoli directs a masterpiece of voyeuristic paranoia that lives exactly where fashion and fear intersect. It follows a beautiful socialite who is being blackmailed by a mysterious man claiming he has photos of her participating in a secret hedonistic orgy. The bait is baked directly into the title. The film is obsessed with the act of looking. The camera doesn't just record the action. It stalks the lead actress, Dagmar Lassander, with a relentless erotic intensity. The interior design of her apartment is a character in itself, filled with mirrors, transparent walls, and 70s futuristic decor that makes privacy impossible. The provocative core here is the psychological gaslighting. The blackmailer doesn't just want money, he wants to destroy her sanity. He appears in the shadows of her bedroom, leaves forbidden photos in her path, and slowly strips away her dignity. Ercoli uses rapid-fire editing and a haunting, lounge-inspired score by Ennio Morricone to create a dizzying, dreamlike state. The orgy scenes, shown in fragmented flashbacks, are shot with a soft-focus psychedelic lens that makes them feel like a forbidden memory. You're never quite sure if what she's seeing is real or a product of her guilt. It's a sophisticated, visually stunning exploration of the female psyche under pressure, wrapped in the most expensive silk and leather the 1970s had to offer. It is pure, unfiltered Giallo aesthetic. Number 2. The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, 1970. This is the film that started the global Giallo craze. Dario Argento's directorial debut didn't just break the rules, it rewrote them. It follows an American writer in Rome who witnesses a brutal attack on a woman in an art gallery through a massive glass wall. He is trapped between two glass doors, able to see everything, but able to help nothing. The visual bait here is the concept of total voyeurism. The art gallery is a clinical white space where the struggle looks like a staged performance. The camera focuses on the textures, the cold glass, the bright red blood on the white floor, and the black leather gloves of the assailant. It's a moment of pure, agonizing helplessness that hooks the audience instantly. You, like the protagonist, are forced to watch the violation from behind the barrier. Argento uses a missing clue mechanic that would become his trademark. The protagonist knows he saw something crucial during the struggle, but his brain can't process it. This forces the camera to revisit the scene of the crime through fragmented, obsessive flashbacks. Every time we return, the camera lingers a little longer on the victim's body, searching for the truth in the trauma. It's a sophisticated psychological game, where the camera acts as a detective. With a haunting score by Ennio Morricone and the visual style that turned Rome into a geometric nightmare, this film proved that a thriller could be as beautiful as a gallery painting, and twice as deadly. Number 1. What Have You Done to Solange? 1972. Topping our list is Massimo Dallamano's dark, melancholic masterpiece. If Giallo is usually about cold style, Solange is about the heavy, tragic price of obsession. Set within the walls of an elite, private campus in London, it follows the life of a charismatic teacher who finds himself caught in a web of secret, forbidden connections with his students. While hiding away during a private moment on a riverbank, he and a companion witnessed a blurred, haunting image of a struggle. an event that marks the beginning of a nightmare. The bait in this film is the most sophisticated on our list. It plays with the tension of hidden lives within a strict, high society environment. The camera voyeuristically captures the private world of the campus, creating a sense of invisible eyes that see everything. The contrast between the formal, disciplined atmosphere of the school and the dark, restless secrets of its inhabitants creates a pressure that is almost unbearable. But the true power of Solange is its emotional depth. Unlike the clinical detachment of other Giallo films, this one feels deeply personal. The camera doesn't just record a mystery, it follows a trail of broken trust and psychological trauma. The visual style is lush and atmospheric, using the gray, foggy backdrop of London to heighten the sense of isolation. The reveals are some of the most haunting in the genre, focusing on the mental violation and the consequences of looking away when things go wrong. It's a film about the rot that grows when emotions are repressed by a rigid system. What Have You Done to Solange is the ultimate Giallo because it perfectly blends the genre's provocative aesthetic with a gut-wrenching, tragic mystery that lingers in your mind long after the screen goes black. The velvet curtain falls, but the images remain. Giallo isn't just a genre of the past. It's a masterclass in how to look at the world through a lens of beautiful, dangerous obsession. We've unlocked the vault, and these 10 masterpieces are waiting for you in the shadows of the streaming world. The question is, are you ready to face what's hiding in the dark? If you enjoyed this descent into the golden age of Italian style and terror, hit that like button. It's the only way to keep the machine running. Subscribe and turn on notifications because our next investigation into the Forbidden Archives is already in the works. And before you go, which of these films triggered your curiosity the most? Was it the clinical elegance of Mrs. Wardh or the tragic mystery of Solange? Let me know in the comments. I'll be down there waiting. Stay curious, stay obsessed. And as always, keep watching.